You know, there are three kinds of retirees, and this video series is for one of them. Stay tuned to find out which one. Hi, my name is Jim, and I was retired. I'll begin with my standard word of caution. I am not a financial professional, and I have no special initials after my name. So take this video as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another, and always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need it. In my worldview, there are three kinds of retirees. First, there are regular retirees who work until they're about 65 or 66. Maybe they get a gold watch, and then they spend down their savings, pension, and Social Securities for the rest of their life. Most of financial planning concentrates on these regular retirees. The second group of retirees is a new breed I had not heard about before I started doing research into retirement about 5 years ago. They are the F.I.R.E folks, the Financial Independence Retire Early folks. And their goal in their lifestyle is to amass as much money as they can, and so by the age of 45 or so, they can retire and then hope that all that money that they have amassed will last the long time in their retirement. And the third type of retirees are the forced early retirees like me. They thought they were in the first plan, maybe the second, but mostly the first. They were on their path towards a retirement when, boom, all of a sudden, at age maybe 59, they discover they're suddenly retired. And they have to do a lot of research and strategy to make sure what they've amassed so far can last for their retirement. If you review the videos on YouTube on retirement, there are thousands upon thousands of videos focused on the first class of regular retirees. They focus on how to accumulate all of your savings that you'll need for retirement, or on the decumulation side of it, on how to make your money last for your retirement. There are also a lot of videos on the F.I.R.E movement. Maybe not as many as on regular retirees, but go out there and you'll see lots and lots of videos on the F.I.R.E movement. You know, including people who think they can retire at age 24 or 28 or 30. More likely, it's a couple saving as much as they can of what they're earning now with the goal of being financially independent and stepping away from the rat race. But there are very few videos focused on forced early retirement. And that's one of the reasons why I'm creating this series, to give you some lessons learned from my forced early retirement over the last 5 years. You know, in my research, I also discovered it's a lot of people in that last category of forced early retirement. Did you know that more than half of all retirees retire sooner than they expected? You know, a new 2021 Alliance Life Retirement Risk Readiness Survey shows that 68% of the people they surveyed who were retired started retirement sooner than they expected. That's up sharply from last year's survey, when half of the retirees were retired sooner than they expected. I reported on that 2020 survey in my first video, so check that out. But at the time, I remember saying that I thought that number was going to go up because of coronavirus, and it looks like it did. In the 2021 Alliance Life survey, most retired because of reasons beyond their control. Healthcare issues were actually cited as the most prevalent reason, 34%, up from 25% in the 2020 survey. Job loss was actually lower. Job loss was about a third of those last year. This year it's only 23%. Forced early retirees face a lot of issues that regular retirees or the F.I.R.E retirees just don't face. First, it's the suddenness of the decision that's beyond your control. That causes a lot of decisions to have to be made in days and weeks. If you're in a regular retirement plan, you may have a year or a year and a half to get everything ready before you finally make that retirement day plunge. If you're on a FIRE schedule, you're working for years to amass the money that you want to set aside before you pull the trigger. But for forced early retirement, all of a sudden, you find through a job loss or health issue, you're suddenly retired. Those forced into an early retirement have to make decisions in days and weeks. All of a sudden, you have to decide whether you have enough saved up in your retirement plans. You have to make some decisions about a pension, on whether to take it as a pension or a lump sum distribution. You have to decide when are you going to take Social Security. You may not have been thinking about Social Security because you're years away from what your expected retirement date is. So you all of a sudden, in a matter of days and weeks, there are a lot of factors that you have to consider in a forced early retirement. Second, if you're suddenly retired, you'll need to think about health care prior to Medicare. Most regular retirees time their big day for when they are eligible for Medicare. And the FIRE folks are planning for the strategy, so hopefully it doesn't come as a surprise that they'll have to cover health care before Medicare. But all of a sudden, in a forced early retirement, you need to make a decision. How will you cover health care? Will you take COBRA at its high cost? Or will you see if there's an affordable alternative with the Affordable Care Act in your state? Or do you have a spouse that's going to cover you under their plan when you retire? Finally, there's the emotional challenges of facing a decision that wasn't made by you. I sometimes envy folks who reach a planned retirement date. That's a decision I will never get to make. But as I've said before, it's the best decision I never made. And I've learned to accept that. I've also learned to make the decisions about my retirement, even if I couldn't make the decision on when it began. And just as I'm envious of some of my colleagues who have announced their happy retirement, I'm sure there are some who are envious that I've been able to say for the last 5 years I was retired. Those other two categories of retirees, you may want to subscribe and follow along to this series too. You may learn something about a regular retirement or a FIRE retirement. But if you face the risk of a forced early retirement, if you're getting up in your years and wonder what would happen if the news suddenly came along, please follow along with this video. Like, subscribe, add a comment about where you are in your retirement. Thanks.